jump straight over to K3. And now you understand why I'm going to open K1.
K1, discussion and possible action to accept the fiscal year 2025 Hayes County Annual Comprehensive Financial Report as audited by ABIP PC Certified Public Accountants.
So moved. Second.
All right. So Marisol, thank you for your patience. And now you're going to start to understand my sequence of events.
Okay. Marisol Villarreal Alonso, Hayes County Auditor. We are presenting the annual comprehensive financial report, which is this big book that I have in front of me. Once it's approved and our audit is certified, then I will email this out and place it on the Commissioners Court agenda. With us today is Jeremy Barbato, the audit partner for ABIP, to discuss the results of the audit.
All right. If you'll approach the podium and state your name and title for the viewing public.
Thank you, Judge Becerra and Commissioners Court, for having me here today. My name is Jeremy Barbato. I'm an audit partner with ABIP. I oversaw the audit this year and in years past. And I just want to go over the presentation of how the audit went and some financial highlights. I'm starting on the next slide here. So what's in an annual comprehensive financial report, an ACFR? It's broken up into these sections here. The introductory section, which starts with the transmittal letter from the county auditor that kind of gives a footprint of the county, the local economy that the county faces, and any major initiatives that the county has in plan for the next few years. Also, in the introductory section is the GFOA Certificate Achievement Award for Excellence in Financial Reporting for the fiscal year ended September 30th, 2024. That's last year's award, so y'all did get the award last year, which I'm sure y'all are all aware of. This year, we don't anticipate not getting the award for the 2025 fiscal year, so we'll keep rolling that forward. Also in the ACFR, sorry, one slide back. Thank you. Also in the ACFR is our independent auditor's report. That's our opinion over the financial statements and what we're engaged to do for the Hayes County of Texas. And then also is the management discussion analysis, which is more or less the cliff notes of the financials. It gives kind of high-level condensed financial information where financial users can go and see how the county did compared to last year. Finally, and also there's the government-wide and fund financial statements that kind of give the lay of how each fund is standing and the balances within each fund. And then there's the notes to the financial statements, which gives a little more detail behind some of the balances that the funds are maintaining. Then there's some other supplementary information and required supplementary information that's required by our standards that gives even more information on how the county's operating and all the different funds and budget schedules that y'all have and maintain. Then we have the statistical tables, which is a 10-year look back on how the county has done in the prior years, whether it's the financials, demographics, tax base, highest taxpayers, major revenue sources, employment. There's a lot of good data in there just on how the county, what's going on in the county. Then finally, we have the compliance section. There was a federal and state single audits that were required to be completed by our team, and I'll go over all those on the next coming slides here. Real quick, our independent auditors report, the auditing standards we follow are just generally accepted auditing standards and the government auditing standards issued by the Comptroller General of the United States. The purpose of our audit was to form an independent opinion on whether the financial statements are presented in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. That said, our opinion is unmodified. That's the highest opinion you can have from an independent accounting firm. Basically states we have no qualifying statements or departures from generally accepted accounting principles of the United States. So it's a clean opinion. On the next slide, we have some real high-level financial highlights. I just want to kind of cover your main operating fund, the general fund for this year. Total assets was $94.5 million. Roughly 88% or $83 million of that is in your cash and cash equivalents, so very liquid county access to cash as you need it. Your receivables was the other big portion of your assets, and that was $10.7 million. The fund balances for the general fund is broken up into these components. It overall was 75.9, which was an increase of 5.6 million from the prior year, and I'll go over that on the next slide. But it is broken up into these components: non-spendable, Those are reserved in your inventory and prepaids. You have some restriction that are externally restricted resources that you have to spend in those purposes in the general fund. And then you have some Commissioners Court committed fund balances of 7.7. That said, our unassigned, which is what's left over for ongoing county operations, was $66.7 million, which equates to roughly 5 months operating reserves. So it's a very healthy fund balance. If you think about there's $66 million in unassigned, you have cash of 83, so that just says you have enough fund balance. All your fund balance is liquid. You have access to your fund balance and the use of it. GFOA recommends anywhere from 3 to 6 months, so you're sitting right at the north side of that with 5 months operating reserves. Kind of going over how the income statement or the changes in fund balance for the general fund. Revenues for the year were $165.6 million. No surprise, it mostly comes from your tax base, so from ad valorem and sales tax, which make up about 83% of your funding. Charge for services was 8.6, and then you have some operating grants and contributions of 9.9. And then I like to always throw in the investment earnings of 5.4 million. So you did turn a good investment profit while still maintaining the liquidity of your cash and cash equivalents. So total expenditures was 160.8 million. A lot of that, or almost half of that, was in law enforcement and correction function of your government. Judicial was 29 million and administration was 23.6. Overall, again, we had an increase of 5.6 million from the prior year. The general fund budgeted 10.8 million deficit. A lot of that was due to increased sales and property taxes, as well as some lack of capital projects getting going and some vacant positions throughout the county. But overall, we did have a good year for the general fund of $5.6 million increase. Just real quick on some note disclosures. We did have to adopt a new accounting policy, and this is required for all governments with the fiscal year 9/30/2025. We adopted GASB 101, which remeasured your valuation of compensated absences. The restatement in that position was about 4.6 million, and that just affected your full accrual statement. So nothing to do with your fund levels. It was just an implementation we had to retroactively apply. Your long-term debt, total bonds outstanding was 487.5 million, and that was a decrease from last year of 27.8. There were no new issuances during the year, so we're just paying our debt in accordance with our amortization schedules. Some property tax information. We did increase our property tax rates during the year from 0.30 to 0.35 cents per $100. And our assessed values increased 11% from the 2024. And the county historically collects about 95% of its current tax levy. So you're not rolling over a large receivable every year. Finally, on the compliance side, we did issue 2 more reports. One was over internal controls over financial reporting and compliance and other matters in accordance with government auditing standards. This is required because y'all get some federal funds, and we identified no material weaknesses, significant deficiencies, or noncompliance material to the financial statements. So another clean opinion with the government auditing standards better. On the next slide. This is the compliance over each major program and the internal controls over compliance required by the uniform guidance. This is the federal and state single audit that we had to do. It's required because the county gets over $1 million in federal and state expenditures. The major programs we reviewed this year were the highway planning and construction grants with your advanced funding arrangements that you have with TxDOT. And again, we had no internal controls or non-compliance or question costs identified with that major program. And it's an unmodified opinion as well, so a clean opinion on the single audit as well. Next slide. Finally is our letter of conduct. This is our required communication with you on how the audit went. And this is The accounting policies start the letter, and again, we're highlighting that we adopted a new accounting policy as required by our standards, and that's GASB 101 over compensated absences. Accounting estimates are required, are part of the financial statements, and we evaluate those and compare them to prior year, and they're consistent with regards to the material aspect of the financial statements. And then one disclosure we highlighted again was the restatement of net position. This doesn't happen very often, so we wanted to make sure and highlight that for y'all that because of the implementation of GASB 101, we had to restate your prior net position. We didn't have any difficulties in performing the audit. No material misstatements were noted during our audit, and we didn't have any disagreements with management. If we had any of those, we'd be required to disclose that to you guys. Finally, management has provided us all representation we need, and basically all the information and evidence we need to do our audit and issue our opinions. So all that information has been provided to us by your team. And there were no consultations with other independent accounting firms needed to conduct the audit. I'm going to skip over this one, but I'll come back to it. I just want to highlight that we do audit the county's investment policies and in accordance with the Public Funds Investment Act. So y'all did comply with the Public Funds Investment Act, so there's no non-compliance there. We did have one comment and recommendation over procurement. During the year, it was brought to our attention that there was procurement of some vendors that had happened where a selection committee didn't disclose a conflict of interest, as well as the scoring and the bid tabulation of the vendors selected was miscalculated, and it resulted in the award being, or the solicitation being voided. Our recommendation is to just formalize the conflict of interest disclosure and have an independent review of the bid tabulation. Just make sure it's calculated in accordance with the evaluation criteria of the bid. With that, there's my contact information. If there's any questions you have or anything I discussed or the audit process in general, I'm happy to discuss that with y'all.
I am really grateful. I've sat here for a long time as I get older. I've sat here for almost a decade. Grateful to your organization's continued steady hand in such an important item that serves all of us, almost 350,000 people. We'll get a census updating soon enough. I'm sure that's about where we are. I'm just grateful for the work, and I'm grateful for Marisol's consistency in process. Marisol has been instrumental in catching, for example, that last thing you just brought up that you're recommending an external or some. How did you just say the last one? I didn't write it down. Sorry.
Independent review.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Independent review. Even that's a great point, and it's not anything to be afraid of. I'm highlighting that last thing you spoke of because it shows that we have systems in place. It shows that Marisol was on the job doing her job, and it shows that you as an auditor didn't just glaze over it, and we talked about it, and you're recommending an independent review of that. It shows to the public that when things go wrong, we watch it, we are here for it, we call it out, and we take corrective action. That's the powerful thing. We're all people. We all make mistakes. But systems are designed to ensure we don't come off the rails. So I'm grateful to you guys. I'm grateful to all of you. Commissioner Inglesby?
Well, and I wrote that down just because I wanted to ask the question. When you say independent review, do you mean an internal, just like a group or an office, like our auditor's office, reviewing?
It should be someone that's not part of the evaluation or the procurement selection committee, so someone outside of that process.
Okay, so not even our procurement department is right. Right. Okay, so then once that happens, then we need an independent.
Yeah, that would be our
review.
recommendation,
Okay.
just to make sure that some of these vendors that get awarded aren't falling through the cracks as far as exclusion or inclusion.
And Candace, I guess, can we just make sure that we set that up however we need to do that? And okay.
And tell us what that is when you have it, so we are all on the same page of process, please.
Yeah, if it's a policy, then we just bring it back to court and just. Yeah.
We'll do. I'll work with Marisol to come up with process.
And Commissioner Inglesby's idea is perfect. It should be a policy, and please loop me in. I'm the countywide rep here at this moment. Please loop me in the crafting of that thought process. I've seen this for enough years, and I'd love to help shape that conversation to come to the full court. You guys have been magnificent. Commissioner Cohen?
Well, thank you for the presentation. I do appreciate it. Thank you, Marisol, for all the work that y'all have done. And I've always enjoyed reading over these whenever they come before court. And, we learn from the audit's purpose is to make us better, right? And to identify where there could be improvements in our processes, right? And so I definitely am advocate of that. So thank you so much for the work that you've done.
Commissioner Hammer?
I always love a good summary of financial highlights. But no, I appreciate all the work that you do, and I'm excited to look forward to our 2026 reporting, or the next fiscal year reporting. As I do think that there are some areas where that will differ with this. So I appreciate y'all.
Smith?
I'm good. I appreciate every year whenever y'all bring in the overall outside audit. I'm always impressed with the thoroughness of it. And this has nothing to do with your firm. This is more of a question for our auditor. But how many years in a row have we used this firm?
I want to say this is the second procurement that we've done, and we're on our 10th year with the firm. The reason I'm don't want to give wrong information is because we started out with a smaller local firm called Holtman Wagner. We started out with a local firm from New Braunfels called Holtman Wagner back when I started in the auditor's office. And then Holtman Wagner was actually bought out by ABIP. So between that time, they took on the clients of Holtman Wagner, and then we've gone through, I believe, 2 procurement solicitations where ABIP has been awarded the audit services.
And that's why I like the no evergreen thing, because it allows us to just trust but verify. So, Commissioner Smith?
Yeah, that was my question. And then when is this contract, when does it expire?
We have 1 more year, so we have fiscal year 2026 with ABIP, and then we will go out for solicitation again for audit services.
Okay, that was my question.
Perfect, thank you. Now we have a motion and a second. Roxanne, please call the roll.
Can I ask a question,
sorry, yes.
please? Thank you. Stephanie Hunt, purchasing agent. So, Jeremy, when you say an independent review, so prior in my office, there was a contract specialist position that was vacant. So when this procurement came in, it was just me in the office reviewing it. Per statute, the purchasing agent is to oversee the procurement, the formal procurement process. So now we have that contract specialist position filled. So in part of the changes in the office that I communicated to you, part of that was that he reviews all of those proposals for those required forms, the pricing, all of that, the pricing that comes back from, or not the pricing, the scoring that comes back from the evaluation committee. And then I am the second review that goes in and reviews to make sure that there are no data entry errors or any of that, and makes the final, yes, this is solidified, we sign off on it. So is that not sufficient enough for a internal review? And then I know Marisol's office is reviewing all procurements after we finalize them, because we're not really supposed to share any of the data that is in the review with anybody outside of the evaluation committee. So I just don't want to get in a situation where we're not adhering to the statutes.
I got you. However, the bid tabulation can be calculated correctly, and then whatever safeguards the county feels most comfortable in putting in place to make ensuring that is fair for everybody, that's the route I would go.
And so I will, if I may, restate your question as it was formulating, and it was good. And if I understand your question correctly, it is, are you, since there is now someone designated to do these tabulations, are you considered independent enough for that review? Is that the gist of your question?
Yes, as an independent review, since statutorily I have to oversee the procurement process.
Perfect. So as you see the process, I will tell you, I don't have to do a roll call. Whether we like each other or not, There's value in this court's makeup. And so I can just go like this and I understand the temperature of how they feel. Just like that, and I know you know it. We as a court have already, without even talking, that's the power of this coming together, may see that as not independent enough. So although you are part of the process, absolutely, statutorily, no one's messing with it, there needs to be an umbrella review of your process. That's what we're going to do, and I will tell Candace that if you bring something like that as part of the policy to correct previous mistakes of oversights or omissions or whatever they may be labeled, this court will have that conversation more in depth about that specific thing, and thank you. You've been magnificent. If there's nothing else, please call the roll, Roxanne.
Commissioner Hammer?
Yes.
Commissioner Inglesby?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Cohen?
Yes.
Judge Becerra?
Yes, thank you.